All right, please begin.
Okay, it is my pleasure to introduce to you my new friend, MacDonald. Jeff is an independent journalist, an author, and an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ. And I was really drawn to an article that Steve sent around that you've written for the Alban Institute. And it seems you were speaking so much to the questions that we're thinking about in continuing civic education. So I was really excited to meet you. And you've won a gazillion awards, which I won't list all, but something extraordinary, the 2011 Wilbur Award for Religion Reporting in National Newspapers. So muscle top, that's great. And then you have been a correspondent for major newspapers, and you're on the advisory board of the Alban Institute. I'm also really interested in your new book, which I think it sounds like it's very relevant to us also. It's called Thieves in the Temple, the Christian Church and the Selling of the American Soul, which explores the steep toll that religious consumerism is taking on Protestant ministries in the United States. And I'm happy to know also you're a fellow Massachusetts person. It's my roots, and you live in Swampscott. And there's actually a very wonderful new congregation in Swampscott, the Rabbi named Baruch Halevi, who has revitalized two very sort of on the way down conservative congregations and brought them back to life in a very dynamic new way. So he's probably be an interesting person to meet. Or perhaps you already know him.
Yeah, I know the synagogue, and I know people who go there, but I don't know. I know I haven't visited yet. I'm kind of new to the community, so it's a good thing for me to explore. Yeah.
So anyway, without further ado, I welcome you to the podium, and thank you so much for flying down this beautiful weather and coming to speak to us. And even though we're a few number here, we represent a lot of people, and I think we represent the cutting edge thinking about continuing rabbinic education for rabbis. So we are really looking forward to taking your wisdom and seeing how we can apply it in our own work as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Pleasure. Well, good morning, everyone, here in New York and elsewhere in Jerusalem and wherever else folks might be tuning in from over the web. Now we're when we broadcast, people log in. It's a great treat to be here, and thank you for the kind introduction, Rachel. When Steve contacted me initially on the query, it said, we've seen this article, and I think it's this article that I wrote for Congregations Magazine about what's called the quiet crisis in clergy continuing education. Maybe you could come and talk a little bit. Essentially, is there anything to say beyond what's been said in the article? And as usually is the case, with reporting, there's usually a big stack of notes that never made it past the cutting room floor. And in this case, there was an especially large set of it. I had worked on this assignment for the Alban Institute, and had put together a larger paper. And so from that, there was a good bit of material that I'm delighted to be able to share and bounce around some observations. I'm not the world's expert on clergy continuing education. I am a ordained minister and I'm a journalist, and so I'm mostly passing on what I know from a little bit from personal experience and more so from research, from reading up on some material that's been shared. And that's what I'll explain here. The Alban Institute is...
Just a second.
Yes.
For those of you who are on the phone, could you mute your phones until you have a question? That would be great. Thank you.
Sure. The Alban Institute, as some of you know, is an organization based in Herndon, Virginia, that serves congregations, both Christian and Jewish congregations, and has a deep interest and quite a bit of depth in terms of resource and staff to look into the issues that challenge congregations. And so on this one, it came about, there's a researcher there, Larry Bowman, who had done some surveying and had found that the way that clergy learn is evolving, that it is increasingly self-directed in terms of just-in-time learning sometimes. Clergy will go out and find what they need to know, right when they need to know it, and hope that they find the right people at the right time, and that they can apply it in their setting. That's one of his insights. And yet there's this structural disconnect between that and the way clergy education is framed and disseminated through the institutional structures. And it was that basic sense that maybe the needs of today's clergy and the institution's structure to share this are not well aligned, and that there's potentially this disconnect. And that was largely the impetus for what they call the consultation on continuing clergy education. And that was really the impetus for this research, was drawing together people from across the country. All been convened. It was quite an ambitious project. It came together in early 2009, bringing together people from across the country, coming in about 20 people at a time on 4 separate occasions, coming in, people coming from who were pastors, who were theologians, people who were involved in denominations and in seminaries, very much with their hands on the distribution of education and the work of clergy continuing education, to really talk about this, to sort of gather a big corpus of anecdotal evidence, basically. How well are clergy being served by today's structures? And as people came together, the challenge was to really review the landscapes, identify the strengths and weaknesses of today's structures, and figure out whether new structures and new paradigms need to be developed into another framework, or whether do we need new institutions to serve a clergy that has these self-directed habits, or do we just need to update the channels that we have today? What's going to work best? And so we pulled together these various representatives, as well as some of them to talk about the technological implications and possibilities. And my assignment then was to take a corpus of research and make some sense of it, and find some themes and pass them along. So what did we learn in this process about institutions and about clergy learning? Well, one of the things that we've learned is that the world has changed a good bit, and the religious landscape has changed a good bit. Since the structures for clergy continuing education were created, one of the major structures is denominational programs. And sometimes denominations will have a requirement for continuing education as a matter of maintenance of ordained standing. Other times it's more left to the congregation to interpret what the expectations will be. But in either event, they come from a time when it was clearer, to say, a half a century ago, clearer, what did it mean to be a Methodist minister? What did it mean to be a Presbyterian clergy person?